What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today I'm very excited for checking out the Institute for Magical Arts from Dr. Finn Games. This is for 2 players, ages 14 plus. It'll take about 30 minutes to play. And in the Institute for Magical Arts, you and another magician are going to be going head-to-head trying to acquire cards and go through portals and get victory points in the end. It's got a lot of mechanisms mushed together. Does that work, though? Let's open it up and I'll tell you. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of the Institute for Magical Arts. First and foremost, we got a handy-dandy rule booklet. It is 23 pages, double-sided. It's got full color, some illustrations here and there, and it's very well done. It will have you up and running pretty quickly. It says 23 pages, but I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's not that big. Also, he does have a how-to-play video up on Board Game Geek, which I recommend checking out as you're reading the rule booklet. It really will help you out, but still, good job on the rule booklet. Next, you're also going to get this little Institute summary card, which is very helpful. It's like a big cheat sheet card to put in the middle. It's going to show you all the stuff you need to know on the cards, the power types, and then all of the different cards in the game. This is really useful because it has a little bit more information on here than it does on the cards themselves. So very helpful, big thumbs up on including that. In addition, you're also going to get another cheat sheet card that's just going to go over the phases. Doesn't have too much on there, but it is useful. So, in the Institute for Magical Arts, you are going to be racing to 20 points. And then when you get to 20 points, whoever has the most points at the end of that round is going to be the winner of the game. You are going to get points by bidding on these cards out here. And these cards are going to give you different amounts of points depending on what's in the upper right-hand corner. Some of them will also give you special abilities that you can utilize. Some are one-time use, some are immediate effects, and some are persistent permanent effects that you'll be able to utilize. In addition, if you would like to, you can push your luck and go through the portal to the ethereal realm, which has a really unique aspect, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go over the components, then we'll get a little bit into the gameplay. Now, I'm going to show you the red components, but everything is doubled for the for the blue components as well. So on your side, you're going to have 4 dice, which you're going to be rolling during the assign action cards to dice phase. You are going to start with 1 face-up special ability card. It'll be worth 1 victory point. And you're also going to start with 2 of these little cubes right here. These are victory points in the game. And it's very easy to keep track of your victory points for the most part, because it's nice because you gain these cubes. And you can also look at the cards right here. So everyone's going to start with their own unique special ability. So for this one, during phase 1, after rolling dice, adjust any 1 die by plus or minus 1. Now that's going to cost me what's called a power stone, which are these guys right here, but still that can be very useful because you are going to be able to play your power stones on these cards out here. And think of this aspect as an area control game. You are going to be trying to control these cards and eventually win these cards. How do you win the card? Well, if you'd like to win the Novice Wand, you are going to need to have 3 power stones on there, and then you're also going to have 2 more than your opponent. So, for instance, if you have 3 on there, and your opponent has 2 power stones on there, you don't win it yet. You would need to have at least 4, so that way you would have 2 more than your opponent. So when you win this, which will happen during the Award Institute cards phase, which is very useful, that little card down there, you will win the card, and then it will give, this one in particular will give you 2 victory points, and then it will also give you a special ability you can use during phase number 4. And at the bottom of the card, it'll tell you exactly when you can use the card. So, other component-wise, we talked about the portal a little bit. We got the portal right here, and we have the ethereal realm. This is a little bit of a push-your-luck aspect, which we will talk about in a second. You also have dice numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. These dice will never move. However, these will move as people acquire cards, and I'll show you how that works. You're also going to have a big old stack of these cards. These are the same cards that are down here. You're going to start with 3 of these black tokens right here. These are Reroll Tokens, which you will be able to utilize to help reroll as many of your dice as you want to 3 times. If you run out of these tokens, you will be able to spend some of your victory points though to get 3 more. Not the best idea always, but being able to reroll is very useful. Last but not least, you are going to have these 6 cards right here. You're going to have a cast 1 stone, a cast 2 stones, and then take stones. And you also have another take stones and 2 more cast 1 stones. I'll show you how those cards work in a second. So let's just show you how the game is played, and hopefully we'll get a feel for it. So we got everything set up in front of us here. We got our reroll tokens. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll our 4 dice to start the game. So let's roll it up. We got a 2, a 2, a 6, and a 5. So we're going to set them out like this, and then we're going to figure out which of our 4 cards, our action cards, we would like to play. So how does this work? So for instance, if I play the cast 1 stone card down underneath this 2 right here, when I reveal it later, I will be able to put one of my stones onto the number 2. Very simple, and I will be one step closer to controlling that area and hopefully winning this card. Likewise, cast 2 stones works the exact same way. If I were to play that there face down, I would be able to cast 2 stones. And last but not least, we have take stones. If you put the take stones there, that means you will be able to take 2 stones. So normally you want to use the take stones when you get a higher number, like the 6 or the 5, because the stones are going to be your currency. And if you run out of stones, well, you're going to be strapped pretty bad until the next turn. So let's go ahead and we'll play this out, and I'll see what I would like to play here. So I want to show you how the portal, number 6 over here, works. So I'll put a cast 1 stone on the 6. I do want to get some extra stones, so I'll do the take stone phase, and I'll put it under the number 5. And you wouldn't be telling your opponent this. I'm just doing it right now. Now, if I wanted to, I also could potentially utilize the special ability and pay 1 stone. Then I could adjust something by 1 if I wanted. I don't think I want to do that, though. I'm going to put cast 2. I'll do that, and I will do that. And once both players are ready, you're going to reveal all 4 of these cards. Now, how this works is the take stones operation always happens first for both players. You're going to do this simultaneously. So I would get to take 5 stones. So I would just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more stones into my pile, and I should have had stones already over here, so just throw them in there. So that operation is done. Next, I'm going to cast 1 stone on the number 6. Boom, that goes right here on the portal. And you want to make sure you put it on the actual card itself and not the dice, because as we mentioned, the dice do not move, but these cards will eventually move. Last but not least, I'm going to be putting 1 and then 2 more stones, so 3 stones grand total onto number 2. So I would have 1, 2, 3. Now, if you can't afford to put all the stones out there, well, then you can't do that. And I highly recommend doing the take stones action, but you don't always have that option. So we have successfully allocated all of our dice, which means we can now move on to the number 2 phase, which, the number 3 phase, which is use the portal. So when you put a card on the portal, what's going to happen is you can now make that go to any of the other spaces you would like to do it. So you can put it on the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, the 1. You can put it on anything, or you can put it on the ethereal realm. So for this purpose, we're going to put it on the ethereal realm, and then boom, it is there. Now we have a decision to make, and this is where the push your luck aspect comes in. We have 1 stone on here, which means we can take this stone off and we can gain 1 victory point, which is great. However, if next round we put another card on the portal and we send another one through the portal, we'd be able to gain 2 victory points and also 3 reroll tokens. You can only ever have a maximum of 3 reroll tokens, just a heads up. Or we can just stop. I mean, we can just leave them there. So if we get another stone on the portal, so we have 3 stones on the portal, we'd be able to gain 4 victory points. That's a lot of victory points. And if we really want to push our luck to just crazy heights, and we think we can get 4 stones on here, we would gain 4 victory points, and we'd get to draw the top card from the deck, which would be this card right here, which in this example would mean we would get, well, just 1 victory point for the time, but we'd also get to remove 2 of your opponent's stones from any location, which would be very useful. But the catch is with the portal, if your opponent goes there as well, your stone goes off of it. So you have to make sure it's a little push your luck aspect. How long do you want to stay on there, and if you're worried that your opponent is going to go on there? Very interesting aspect. Now, you may ask, how does that work if both of you have a stone on the portal? So let's say blue put 1 stone on the portal, red put 1 stone on the portal. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of your dice and you're going to secretly put it down where you want to put it. So for instance, I think he's going to go to the ethereal realm. So you know what? I'm actually just going to send it down here to number 2. And so everyone will reveal, and then you would send your stone to that location. So we put it down there to number 2 for this example. That actually works kind of well. So once we've used the portal, we trigger the permanent powers. This is just, as we mentioned, some cards are going to give you special abilities. So this is phase 4. If you wanted to shift one of your power stones and you had this card, you could spend a power stone and then you could do it. Now you might notice there's a number down here. That's the order of operations. That means there are 8 cards that are going to happen before you do this. Now granted, most of the time your opponent and you will not have those 8 cards, but that just lets you know when this happens in the order of operations. very useful. So we trigger our permanent powers, and then we award institute cards, which means we look all around and we see if anything has reached the proper amount of stones. And for this one, it has. We have had 4 stones on here. Our opponent has 0, so we are awarded this card. It goes in front of us, and we gain our 1 victory point on our tracker down here. Also, this is going to give us a persistent special ability, which we can use in round 4. Very helpful. All these stones, they go off to the side. We slide everything down like so, and then we would draw a new card, which would go up top right there, and now we have a new card to potentially bid on. Anywho, you're going to rinse, wash, and repeat the cycle until someone gets to 20 points. You're going to finish out that round, and whoever has the most points, over 20, or if only one person has 20, they will be the winner of the game. And that, in a nutshell, is how the Institute for Magical Arts is played. Alrighty then, the Institute for Magical Art from Dr. Finn's Games. What are my final thoughts for the pros? Let's go over the cons. First, on the cons side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. If you don't play 2-player games, you're going to want to steer clear of it. It's just that simple. It's built from the ground up to be a 2-player game. It's a very restricted player count. Also, component conundrum, and that is the Power Stones. While I do like the wooden aspect of Power Stones, the large Power Stone and the small Power Stone are too similar in size. This one's worth 3, this one's worth 1, and we did find ourselves constantly second-guessing, but like, wait, did I accidentally play a 3 instead of a 1, because I feel like I should have more? I just wish one was larger, one was smaller. They were labeled some different ways so that you could figure them out. It's a small conundrum, but it is something that I did want to mention. Also, there's randomness with the dice rolling. Now, that is mitigated by special cards that you will eventually acquire and the Reroll Tokens, but it is something that I did want to mention. If you roll poorly, for instance, if you roll 4 6s, then you're going to have to use one of your tokens, most likely, unless you really want to go to spot 6. And there is some luck there with when cards come out and that sort of thing, but there's luck in pretty much every game. It's just something I wanted to mention because I'm trying to poke holes in this game, and it's very difficult to do. Last but not least, the theme is there, but it's not one that you're going to be deeply immersed in. You're not going to feel like you're in a magical wizarding world or anything like that. It's a serviceable theme, but it could be stronger. That's what I got. That's all I got. Sorry, people. The Institute for Magical Arts is an outstanding 2-player game, and if you routinely play 2-player games, I highly recommend this game. It's just that simple. What do I like about this game? Easy to learn, easy to teach. The rule booklet's pretty well done. It's got an online tutorial video online that's pretty well done. It gives you a big old cheat sheet going over all the cards and all the information you need to know. That's very helpful. Then they throw in this phases card thing, which it's very bare bones. You're like, really? That's all you're going to give me? That's all you need. Because despite the fact there's a lot of mechanisms going on in this game, it all comes together very smoothly, very cleanly, and very well done. So what do I like about the game mechanism-wise? I love the area control aspect of it. I love the dice rolling and then placing it and the secret in this. And you're looking at the other person's dice and you're like, all right, where do I think he's going to go? I think he's going to do this here and that there, but I'm not quite sure. And then it's like, oh, I really want to go to spot 6, but at the same time, I got a 6 right here and 6 stones. That's a lot of stones because you got to make sure you're keeping up how many stones you have because you're going to be spending consistently, especially once you start getting those special abilities that cost you a stone to do. And then the portal, I really enjoy how the portal works. It adds this little push your luck chicken aspect where it's like, all right, I should get off of this spot right now because if he comes on here, I'm going to lose this victory point. But at the same time, you're like, but if I stay on there, then maybe I can get more points. Now, one thing I did forget to mention in the middle part, I wanted to mention right here, is you can only send 1 stone to the portal at a time. So even if you put like 3 stones on the portal, you can't just dump 3 on there. I did want to mention that. I forgot to mention the middle part. But I really like how the portal works. Components, artwork, just everything about this game is very well done, very professionally done. It doesn't outstay its welcome. I'd say about 30 minutes. That's realistic, especially once you know what you're doing. I like the variety of cards. I like the set collection aspect and how that forces other players to play differently. What I mean by this is you can take the cards that are guaranteed points. You can do that. Or you can take those cards that are the set collection cards that force your opponent to play differently. For instance, the Broken Wand. You get the first one, it's worth pretty much nothing. And you're like, all right, this is worth nothing. But if that second broken wand comes up, your opponent has to get that, or else you're going to be gaining 7 victory points. That's a huge point swing. That's 1/3 of the points you need, so you're essentially forcing their hand. I like that. Same thing with the characters. You get, say, 2 or 3 characters. That 4th character comes out, your opponent has to get that character, or else you're going to gain 4 points for it. You know, it really has this interesting tick for tat. I also like the fact that you don't just win it outright. I like the area control aspect where it's like, all right, you need to get 4, but you have to have 3 more than your opponent. So your opponent might just be trying to block you by throwing 1 here, there, 1 here, 1 here, just trying to prolong. Like, they know you're going to win it, but they just want to stretch that out a little bit. I like the special abilities. I didn't feel like any of the special abilities were too unbalanced or overpowered. I like the amount of cards you're going to get. You're getting a lot of cards here, and you're not going to get through most of them on a given game, which means there's a lot of replayability in this game. Overall, the Institute for Magical Arts is an outstanding 2-player game. I highly recommend if you play 2-player games. It's just as simple as that. Definitely one of the top 10 2-player games I've ever played. Games that were built for only 2 players. Great game, The Institute for Magical Art from Dr. Finn's Games. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, Scorpions, are they where you live? Or do you like the band? Either one. Personally, I like the band, but I've never seen a scorpion in real life outside of the zoo. My wife used to live in El Paso, Texas. She used to say they should be in her shoes. That freaks the living crap out of me. Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.